Welcome back to the Combo Couch, everybody. Pasta Jardula here.
And I'm Fiorella.
And fam, we need to make sure that we are done expediently. We have a lot of stuff to do. The weather has cleared up here in South Florida. It looks beautiful. And I have pickleball today with my mom, fam. So just so you know. I mean, a man just wants to play pickleball and go sailing. Not tickleball.
Tickleball?
Pickleball. They both
That
sound
must be
very...
some new Epstein crap that you guys do in South Florida, right?
They both sound very phallic, if you ask me. You know what I'm
To
saying?
you, yeah.
Pickle and tickleball. Fam, come on. Give me something. I'm sharing the show right now with Carl Hines, our good friend. By the way, I had enough of this. I'm putting on... My hair is all freaking curly and messed up. I'm putting on my Coronado cap, fam. I got my book. I'm ready to read. Can you see it?
Fam,
hold on.
No, it's the green screen. Really?
No. I'm not going to read that. Nobody's read that book. That book is like, let's pin the people against each other and never look upstairs at the oligarchs running shit. So that's what that book is all about. So no, fam, it's a joke. I got good books over there and not shit ones, but that's what's going on. So let's dive right into it. What do you say, fam? I don't have my hoo-ha button. I feel really upset.
You can't say something. I thank God. I hate that button. Like, fam, not everything that is racially related is set to divide people. Some stuff should be discussed.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that book is all about that. I mean, the book on the title, it says why it's so hard for white people to talk about racism, and it goes on this shit libbery. It doesn't talk like Cynthia McKinney does about race. It goes on this shit libbery, of sorts. At the end of the day, a lot of people can't help where they were born and whatnot. It's their actions that matter. And they are trying to say that it's all dependent upon where you were born and not your actions. And I think that is the big mistake. The whole bullshit, inherently racist and that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's sewn into our culture. We can recognize it, and our actions can change moving forward.
So then it's not crap if it's sewn into the culture. Just saying.
Yeah, it is.
I just think I do think there's a level of discussion about racial issues that makes people uncomfortable, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
So
and those issues are always about how we as citizens treat each other here in society, and it's blown up and out of proportion, as opposed to never looking at our foreign policy ever. You know what I'm saying? And finding ways. I mean, which once again is the most racist thing that we could do. Bombing indigenous people in their poor countries, and it's never focused upon the actual racism that's put into society for division by the elites. Reverend Annie Chambers told us this. Remember, she says, we were finding out that they were giving the black family 300 and the white family 600, and we realized that was put into play to make sure that we're divided.
Yeah.
If we're going to talk about racism within our society, we have to talk about where it comes from and the roots, and that's never talked upon. It's about how people are inherently racist by where they were born. And I think that is the wrong discussion. Even though you might say that some of it might be true, fam. Yeah, I mean,
I do think how
talking
you
in absolutes.
Yeah, but how you grew up definitely influences your perspective, and who you are definitely influences how you look at things. It's not going to be your priority to talk about that stuff if you're not constantly dealing with it.
Well,
just like any other issue would be. But yeah.
People, ladies and gentlemen, Lucky Burrito put inside the chat. Lucky Burrito's having a show tomorrow night. They're going to talk about racism. Fearlessly Authentic. She's one of our mods, along with Jilly Love. And guys, we have had people reach out to us before and talk about what a great job you're doing. So thank you so much. As far as our moderators over there on YouTube, but there are a few things I'd like to talk about too as well. Is that even though we have some crazy trolls that come in there, sometimes it's better to let them say what they have to say and let them expose themselves, even if they are there just to cause problems. We'll talk about that stuff as we move forward, because I think a lot of people are talking right now about what is censorship, fam. What, you know what I'm saying? Because they were like, well, when you guys silence somebody in a chat, isn't that censoring somebody? We have to have talks about censorship as we move forward to it.
No, it's not. Like, it depends. Like, we really rarely silence people, but if I block someone on Twitter because they're harassing me, they still have the ability to be on Twitter. I'm not taking them off Twitter. I'm not asking. It's just I don't have to see them. Like, I don't have to see their stupidity. Like, that's not the same thing as an entity censoring people at all. It's like the dumbest comparison I've ever heard.
All
So,
right.
not the same thing.
I get it, and we should have more talks about that. Extra bulla. Hey Mika, y'all stay warm. Gonna get brrr. Mika's hanging out in the chats. I believe Warren is doing his Festivus thing right too as well. Warren, put that your link to your YouTube. You do the Festivus for the rest of us, and we love that. Fam loves that's her favorite holiday. I'm a Kwanzaa guy. I don't know about y'all. You know.
God, Bust.
Hold on,
Jesus
wait.
Christ. Somebody
What about
slap
this
him,
question
please.
right here? Look at this one, fam.
Yeah,
Can
I
you read
agree.
that one?
Yeah, why do people pretend only elites are racist? Like even the mundane have a hand in perpetuating. Absolutely, but
Yeah.
it's.
But people also act like the common friggin' citizen has power, unlike the elites. I talk about the elites being racist way more than our neighbor being racist. Number one, I'm not going to change their fucking mind, and they have no power. If we look at who is having the power, who's inserting the racism into our society for division, that is the most important part. That's why
I
I
would
bring
say
that up.
it's the most important, but I say you can't ignore it, and I think too often it's ignored, and you can ignore it only if you don't have to deal with it. So,
Eh,
and it makes
I don't
certain
think it's as
people
ignored as
uncomfortable.
much as I don't think it's ignored as much as it is put forth to be highlighted and looked upon rather than the elite. And everywhere in our society, I think the elite are avoiding any form of accountability whatsoever.
Yeah, that doesn't mean they're they're like, yeah, they have more power, but if you combine a bunch of people that have that same belief, those bunch of people together have power together because they're following that whole thing. So you can't abdicate them of any responsibility. That's like abdicating the American public of responsibility for imperialism. You still I'm with Terry there. You still have people that swallow the propaganda, and at some point there's got to be some responsibility. You can't just say, "Oh, because the elites do it, there's no responsibility." There's
Yeah, but
responsibility.
you're even saying that they're swallowing the propaganda. So we are even admitting that they are being programmed. So to change their mind, we change the people in thrusting that propaganda, and then we can make some serious changes. They have to
But
be
it's not
focused
an
on.
all end all be all. It's not
Well,
just
but
you
do you
just
focus
ignore
on the
everything
sheep or the
else.
shepherd?
Yeah, I'm not saying that, Pasta. I'm not saying you don't focus on the shepherd. I'm saying you can't ignore the sheep either. And I think sometimes it comes off the argument that, we just need to focus on the elite is a way to just be like, well, let's not focus at all on this whole thing, which I mean, I think you have to at least address it. You don't have to focus on it, but you can address it. It just you're not going to win people over if you don't address it the same way as if you're not going to win people over if you pretend it's the main thing. It has to be addressed.
I think it's not even just addressed. I think it's focused upon more than anything else. I would like us to finally look at the elites. I mean, there's a lot of people think that we are still making the decisions within a society and not the elites making all the problems. By the way,
And I
fam,
hate that you call them elites because it's
the
like,
predator class, the predator class.
yeah.
You're absolutely right. You know what? Cynthia McKinney picked it up too, fam. We're gonna have her back on the show. People really were highlighting. They love the discussion you had about Israel, and that's something maybe we should do a part two with you and Cynthia, since it's in there and all the stuff that Ye said and what a lot of people are talking about. People question like why I always concentrated on the USS Liberty and why I pointed that out because I think it points out a hierarchy that's hiding in the background that nobody pays attention to. Not to say that it's only them, and I think there is a lot of globalists in which Zionists play into, but I think a lot of people would love to hear you have a part two of that conversation, fam, especially with everything going on. So a lot of people were commenting about that. Fam, I don't know if you know, Marxism Leninism was trending on Twitter today. Just want to point that out. I shared the Rumble. Guys, if you could do us a favor, we have the links to the Rumble down below. We have the links to the Rockfin down below. Go over to our Rumble if you can. The last section, James Roguski and I are going to be going one-on-one today to talk about what's going on with the international health regulations and the WHO. This is important stuff. This is stuff we've been covering from the get-go. Well, they have broke their silence. They have come out and shown their amendments, and it is quite scary. That's going to be on Rockfin and Rumble only. If you are a premium subscriber, please go over to Rockfin. And if you're not, go over to Rockfin if you can be a premium subscriber. Arem was the first in the door today, fam. He said, well, 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 what have we here? Thank you, Arem. Salute. That is the first tip today. We only have a couple days left of that cookie jar going on. And I say cookie jar because it is sweet to go on your behalf and follow all these elections and see some stuff. Fam, on Monday, I've been watching the Kari Lake case that is going down. For those who don't know, there is an election integrity case going on in Arizona. Kari Lake has now gone to trial against Katie Hobbs in Arizona for running a fraudulent election. The motion to dismiss it was thrown out, fam. They said nope. So Wednesday, today, and tomorrow will be the actual trial. And fam, it's some good news. They opened up talking about third parties. Kari Lake sent out a tweet earlier this week talking about the fact that there's a whistleblower at Rumbeck, third party, who makes the ballots. You guys know on the Convo Couch, we've been screaming this for years. Who makes your ballots? Who makes your ballots? We looked at contracts several years ago. That information's coming to light. And fam, if they were doing the Pee Wee Herman thing where the word of the day was chain of custody, the whole courtroom would have been screaming, ah, and shit like that several times. So good news over there. And Monday, I will have a breakdown for you on the Convo Couch. That will also only be on Rockford and Rumble only. But I am going to do my due diligence, fam, and we're gonna share that on out for Monday. So, anything else to get into before we get the ball rolling?
No, let's just get the ball rolling.
Okay, you want to open up with a little bit of news about our good friends in Peru.
Right. So I just want to open up with what am I here? Okay. Yeah, with the a couple tweets. If you can just put up the first one.
Yes, ma'am.
So there's an update on Peru. Basically, Mexico had confirmed that their government gave political asylum to Pedro Castillo's family. And simultaneously, as that was happening, the government of Peru issued a warning, a demand to the Mexican ambassador, demanding that they had 72 hours to leave the country. This is the Mexican ambassador to Peru. And then the Mexican government said, why this is absolutely reprehensible. Why are you doing this? We're condemning this. We're not interfering. We're just giving normal justice. Now, activists that are for the party of AMLO and that are pro AMLO have been protesting on this whole situation and standing with Pedro Castillo, who came out in support of Castillo, Argentina's president, Mexico's president, Bolivia's president, Colombia, I believe, and I think also Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua has been silent thus far. But other than that, I mean, it's been pretty much the usual suspects that have said something. And I'm working on bringing more information about what's been going on in Latin America for RT later on. But it's important to note that. And then the second tweet was basically proof that his family made it to Mexico City, the airport in Mexico City, and they arrived safely. Now, they are given political asylum because they were able to make it to the embassy, and then the embassy took them into and flew them out of Lima and into Mexico City. So that's the update on Peru. Over 26 people have died in these protests. And so those two are his kids and his wife, and they are now in Mexico City. Why would they need asylum? Well, because they would go after them, and that's what happens, and it's dangerous. So this whole situation now where they're going after Mexico, it's really interesting because they had zero problem with the U.S. interjecting itself and interfering itself and backing the coup, right? And so AMLO had some very, I have to translate it for you guys. AMLO had some very powerful things to say. He didn't just say that this was wrong. He went on like a whole rant against what the United States is doing. So did I think Petro has said a few things. A lot of people have been saying things. This is not just as easy as saying forgetting about it. This isn't going to be forgotten, and we're going to be covering the story for a little bit. So that's what I just wanted to share real quick before we got into the Twitter stuff.
Ma'am, I'm going to put in the doc. It says thumbnail needed, whatever title you want. We're going to clip that up. We're going to put that out, get that out there. We're going to get it out there today to make sure people know what's going on. Asylum has been provided for Pedro Castillo's family. They are now safe in Mexico. And I think, fam, that a lot of people, no matter what, whether it is justified or unjustified, will still feel a sigh of relief if Pedro Castillo gets there, so he can avoid any type of torture or murder or whatnot. We've seen people get asylum before. They're like in the case of Manuel Zelaya, the United States State Department was smart enough not to have him arrested in his own country. They got him on a plane and get him out of there. Had they known he was arrested in his own country, forget about it. You know what I'm saying? They would have probably stormed the gates in Honduras because he was a very big populist president. I think in this situation, they felt they were going to take their chances, especially being Lima. Let's take him into custody and see what's what to make sure that nobody messes around and tries to get out of line in the future against the West. And that's why you have so many people in Peru sitting in prisons. But I would feel relieved if he is eventually escorted out of the town, fam, out of there. So we'll put that up, guys. We'll put a little clip up for that. We'll get that one rolling. Let's get into the next section, fam, because I know you love and you're a big fan right now of Elon Musk. And unless do you have anything else to say about that? My bad. Are you good?
No.
All right. So let's get going because, fam, I know you've been waiting. Twitter Files 8. More screenshots. Li Fang. Li Fang. Which, don't get me wrong.
The Intercept. The Intercept. I mean,
he's the best one left at the Intercept, too.
He is.
Yes.
Yeah, he is. But
it's still the Intercept.
Still the Intercept.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the publication that gives up whistleblowers and has Ken Klippenstein and like as a journalist. Like, are you serious? Like, I have zero trust in that. I mean, again, your sources matter. Like, where you get your information from matters, especially if the information was direct source material. I wouldn't have these doubts. But this whole thing is just, I mean, people have been talking about this stuff for years. Independent media has been covering this for years. This is nothing new. I've said it before. Mint Press has covered it. Vanessa Beeley has covered it. Whitney Webb has covered it. A lot of people have covered it. This is nothing new. The relationship between the Pentagon, the State Department, the National Security State Apparatus, and big tech, is a known thing. Now, what I'm glad that more people are aware of this, but it really saddens me that it takes Elon Musk to feed specific information, and Li Fang admitted that he didn't sign any contract. He was just given access to certain things, and he said he would request the questions he had, and that was given to him, and it was done with a Twitter lawyer. So this whole thing is not just, oh, here's some documents, direct source material, you read it, here are the facts. It's like, we're going to give you what we're allowed to give you, or what what's not going to go beyond the barometer that we're allowed to give you. And then you're going to look at this information and you're going to reveal this is completely an op itself. And what people need to realize is that this isn't any form of hating on these journalists or anything like that. I obviously don't trust Barry Weiss. I don't trust The Intercept. I don't trust how hyper partisan this is. But this is more than that. This is like, you're talking about Elon Musk, his connections to these very same supposed industries that are being exposed, the Pentagon, the FBI, the State Department. Do you think he's going to really give that up? And do you think he's actually running things? Do you not see that this is also a social experiment on you, the people, the public, and how you're reacting to this?
When you say social
Twitter
experiment, can you give a little bit more depth about that? Because I think that a lot of people, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a social experiment to see what people know. I think it's more of a social experiment to pit people against each other. And that's why they're showing all the red meat. Would you agree to that?
Well,
or no?
I think it's both. I don't think it's just to pit people against each other, because you're also talking about a platform that is data mining you. Both Facebook and like Meta and Twitter use the information they have on you to figure you out. to figure how they can control you. So yeah, it is pitting people against each other, but it's also data mining. I think that is actually a bigger thing, the data mining,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the data mining will allow them to be able to do what you said at a better capacity and be able to manipulate narratives at a better capacity, because they
Yeah.
know that simply saying, the like simply taking a stance of against, for or against something, or pretending that something that is truthful is fake, isn't working anymore. So they have to get in front. And the problem with the security state for us is that they're always mostly ahead of everybody else. They're mostly ahead, and you can't just react to when you're given information that is given to you from the top down is not information that comes at like completely free of any sort of manipulation. And what I mean by that is information that's coming from Elon Musk and Twitter, not because these journalists did their own investigation and there was a court system that said you have to release this information, or not because there was some anonymous source leak into a database like WikiLeaks that released direct source material. That's like a bottom up journalist doing the work, or because a journalist exposed somebody. We're talking about okayed by Twitter lawyers and Elon Musk.
Yeah.
That means that
Screenshots. Yeah.
they had to be, this is allowed by these people who have relationships with these entities. So that information is already corrupt because
Yeah.
you're only allowed to see certain facets of it. You
Yeah.
cannot trust information that comes top down like
Yeah.
that at a glance. It's the same way as power and change. Everything happens bottom up, and like, people need to realize this. I think they're getting carried away and super excited with everything. I'm not saying, I do think out of all of them, the revelations, this is, if you don't know anything at all, this is going to seem like the most revelatory information, the most damning information, the most that shows, oh my god, the deep state is truly infested in Twitter. Guys, it's not just Twitter. They're literally infested in Facebook, Instagram, every big tech, every social media aspect on your phone, everything, every messaging app that you use. This is what we have been screaming about for years now. And
Yeah.
people, especially people like Whitney Webb, have been screaming about for a long time.
Yeah. Let me just say this much: that first of all, somebody's saying that Fee would hate the DNC. The DNC, this is Robin, leaks that WikiLeaks release. That makes no sense whatsoever. We're talking about screenshots from actual source material that wasn't supposed to be released without the presence of a lawyer. It was done so the public can know. It makes no, it's not the same. And once again, what Elon is doing is concentrating on red meat, one side against the other. Data mining stuff we've known about for quite some times, right? This is something that Snowden told us that they were looking at us a lot. Therefore, when we knew they were looking at us, that Cambridge Analytica, which was looking at the data we were doing so they can then manipulate our choices and move us in a certain direction. That is also very scary that's coming out of this whole situation. But would have been best, fam, if they were to do what I've said from the get-go, and some of us have said, and a lot of people have piggybacked, just release everything. Number one, Danny Haifong mentioned this, everybody who got censored, not just, the whole list of everybody who was censored, and also the algorithm, and give us complete transparency. In other words, we want to understand how certain stories are elevated and how some stories or people are suppressed. I think that would have been the best right there for true transparency to win back the trust of the public. And that's what we're not getting. We're getting selective pieces of information from screenshots. And I also want to say that, screenshots, I know people are going to say, Pasta, how are you going to bag on screenshots when you always brag about the fact that your friend Amber King from Brave New Future, please go check out her Telegram. She always uses screenshots. It's different than a journalist taking screenshots because they're on the outside looking in. When the people with the keys to the kingdom can change that information at all time, it's always good to have both because the link might go away, but you still have the screenshot. This is totally different. He has the keys to the kingdom here. Why wouldn't he release all that stuff instead?
Because
He's
they're
being
not
very
allowed
selective.
to release this stuff. Because
Exactly.
it would damn the people that maintain them. And for the record, Robin, this is not the same argument liberals are giving. Liberals are mad that they're saying this is a nothing burger because they don't want the information to be looked at. because they want to maintain this fantasy where, oh, it's whatever, the government isn't interfering. They're trying to minimize the interference of the government. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm saying it exists far more than what we are being allowed to see, and that they're only allowing you to see what they are allowing you to see because they don't want you to see the whole thing and how bad it is, because they want to capitalize on the hyper partisanship, one, and two, of course, they want to continue to see how people react. They want to continue to see how people are viewed. This is one giant experiment. What people put out on Twitter is one giant experiment, and you should go into that app knowing that that's what it is, and stop deifying Elon Musk as if he's some sort of like savior of free speech when he continues to not address the affiliated state affiliated ban accounts that that other journalists have talked about completely being still continue to be shadow banned, journalists that haven't come back, just a bunch of things that have been going on, and it has gotten worse in some ways since Musk. If you've noticed, accounts that have been pro Twitter files that have been talking nonstop about it have grown immensely on this. You'll see it. But accounts that have been critical of him have not. And they're clearly surprised. And he's been taking people down like a hypocrite, the same way that Dorsey and Twitter before him took down conservative voices. You can't pick and choose. Either you're for it or you're against it. You can't play games and say, well, they tried to do this and that to him. No, then go to court. And if it's proven that they actually put a person's life in danger, a court of law could prove that. That you don't get to take down accounts for that. Otherwise, it's a back and forth situation. But let's get into it, fam. I just want to go over what some people have been highlighting here. So the whole premise of this, and we're not going to go over the whole thing because it's so long, because we just kind of summarize it, right? So the whole thing is how Twitter quietly aided the Pentagon's covert online PSYOP campaign. And Twitter, of course, said that they were going to shut down any sort of covert state-run propaganda networks. And these documents show that they directly assisted the U.S. military influence operations. While he's writing this, and while this is all true, and he goes down the list, this is literally happening right now with NAFO, with Ukraine, with the Azov accounts being entirely promoted, being entirely pushed to the forefront, while Russian media gets shadow banned, blocked. You can't even translate stuff, by the way, from anybody anymore. And accounts are completely limited. Like, the perspective is entirely limited, period. Right. So while he's saying all of this, none of that is addressed. To me, it's like talking about a robbery and not addressing who is doing like this the robbery, like the gigantic elephant in the room.
How is that statement, that opening statement we saw right there? How is that traditionally leftists were more against like our foreign policy decisions historically, not now. Now, obviously, we got to get rid of Putin because he's Thanos and he hates gays. But traditionally, it was always that way. So how could that lead into his argument that's saying that, oh, only conservatives were censored, not leftists? I mean, right there, you're kind of admitting that it's about an issue thing. It's about a Pentagon thing. That doesn't really describe, and that's what I've said from the get-go. That's why it's so misleading. When Elon Musk says that only conservatives are getting censored, that's a bold-faced lie, because they didn't censor people based upon their political ideology. They censored them depending on their issues. You couldn't talk about COVID. You couldn't talk about elections. You had to be careful with your foreign policy. Well, a lot of those things might lead towards conservative voices nowadays, but traditionally a lot of leftists felt that way. I mean, that's why we felt we were left out in the cold. We weren't going to fall for the COVID protocols. We weren't going to fall for the sham elections. Those would be considered team sports conservative issues, but they're really not. So that's why I hate that comment that he said, because it's completely untrue. It's about issues. And when you say it's about issues and you admit that you get censored on issues, then you're admitting that the divide is from top to bottom, not left to right. That's my issue.
Yeah. And like, again, no, I'm not against these things being released, but I'm against how it's being manipulated. So I don't trust the information. And I'm saying it is an operation in itself. It's even though you're getting aspects of the truth, because I'm not saying I do think all the stuff is coming out is valid. I just think it's only limited and it's being manipulated. And I think that is the bigger question you should be asking. Why is that the case? Why aren't we getting direct source material? Why are only certain people getting this direct source material? Why, like, it's just, why is it so hyper partisan? Why did he say, oh, left accounts weren't attacked? He's equating liberals with like the anti-imperialist left. And I know for a fact the anti-imperialist left is continuously suppressed and censored. I know for a fact that Palestinian accounts are continually censored. None of this stuff is being addressed. And Lee is talking about this whole thing, the Pentagon being involved, yet nothing has changed. This has been going on since during the Trump administration and even before Trump, during Obama. But really, has this changed for the voices of strongest dissent? It really hasn't. And unless you're, simping Elon Musk and calling him the greatest thing on earth, like, you really have a potential of being censored. Then he goes on to say Twitter has claimed for years that they make concerted efforts to detect and thwart government-backed platform manipulations. Here's Twitter testifying to Congress about its pledge to rapidly identify and shut down all state-backed covert information operations and deceptive propaganda. Okay, but then he goes on to he goes on to talk about how, but Twitter didn't do that. They shut down all state propaganda, especially from Russia, Afghanistan, whatever. But they didn't do that for the United States. Okay, and that hasn't changed at all. They're still doing the same thing right now. That is my whole point. So while he's admitting this, and this is true, what exactly is changing? What exactly it has been talked about of changing this? Like, nothing
Nothing.
whatsoever.
I mean, we put down there, Twitter gave Ryan his account back, then banned him right again. That's the last American vagabond, and we're seeing a lot of this. They take, they still won't let Alex Jones come back. They won't let David Icke come back. There's certain people they will not let come back. And the people they have taken back might be shut down for saying whatever in the future. Nothing is really changing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I still think that there's this from the public, the majority of the public, when they censor people like yourselves, Fee, anybody who has a Russian account. But how does that lend towards freedom of speech? How does that lend towards an open platform of open ideas? It just simply does not.
Freedom of speech is not selective. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, as we know, but this is, again, like, people are like, this is consequential. Is it consequential? I mean, I guess for people who really had no idea that this was going on, I guess it's good that this is coming out. But the manipulation really thwarts it. It puts it back. Well, the Democrats, because this is what ends up happening is you have a bunch of conservatives that are like, oh, the government is controlled by Democrats and Democrats and Democrats and Democrats. And it's like, wait a minute, like, what about the Republicans like Mitch McConnell? What about the Republicans that are working in tandem with the Democrats? This isn't oh, well, it's only the Democrats doing corruption. And that's the line that is being pushed here. Oh my God, it's only the Democrats. The Democrats are involved with the FBI. Oh, the Democrat. It's like, no, the problem is the entire system. And by pushing this whole thing as the hyper partisan way that it is, you're literally just saying the problem is we should just go Republican. And then you're just going to keep going back and forth. And this reels people back into this duopoly, black and white mentality of team sports.
Yeah, and good comment over there. Another analogy would be convincing one crook to be the fall guy while letting all the criminal enterprise as they whole recede into the background. In other words, that one guy's taking the fall guy, and that seems what it is over here. Because when you do this, Democrats bad, Democrats bad, Democrats bad, then you convince people to vote for Republicans, and everything that they do then just gets ignored. And in fact, a lot of times, whatever the Republicans do, whatever Donald Trump does, is manufactured. You manufacture consent because you said the Democrats were so awful. It's our good friend Carl Hines who's watching the show today. He says, hi, Fee. We had this conversation about, he even pointed out, but he goes, I'm just happy that these woke shit libs who are so divisive, they're not controlling it now. yeah, Elon could be being one-sided over here, but it's better than the other side that used to control things. Well, that's exactly the problem, and that's why they play these games. We're sitting
Yeah.
here at a time where we're going, the Republicans are way more with the program than the Democrats are. They're still awful. We understand what they do, but people will focus on they're better than the left, and then you start voting for them. Well, they did the opposite during the Iraq War, where everybody was like, the Democrats are so much better that everybody voted for the Democrats. And that's how you can continue to swing power
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
two-party illusion, which is really a one-party duopoly. And that's exactly what they're doing right now. Because let's not forget, especially when it comes to uh, Ukraine, the Republicans set the table for the Democrats to come in. The Lindsey McGrahan's, the
Yeah.
John McCain's, the Mitch McConnell's,
And
they
vice versa.
vice versa. They would have never been able to manufacture consent Russia really, really, really bad in Ukraine without the Republicans first. And that's something to point out.
Right. Right. And if this shows anything, it shows that it doesn't matter if the president is a Republican or a Democrat. The same policies have continued. And that's what we've been saying all along. It doesn't matter if you go from Obama to Trump to Biden. The same national security state apparatus is at play and the same people are behind the scenes. So how can you say that one is better than the other? I don't agree one is better than the other. I think that they pick and choose the issues. For example, tomorrow, if Republicans take over, it's China that's going to be their focus.
Yep.
It's China that's going to be the enemy. It's China who they're going to want to go to war with. So sure, for today, fine. Republicans are better than Democrats because they're more in support of ending funding for Ukraine. Tomorrow, though, it'll switch up. And that's how you get stuck in that sentiment. You have to understand they are operating together. The people in power are operating together, knowing that people fall for these tricks back and forth. It's completely hyper partisan as all hell. Like, it's insane.
Fam, did you see this last comment real quick down below?
Okay, sorry, CC is wrong on this. The Twitter stuff is a big deal. You have the intelligence agency missing the I don't know what that is.
Misleading the OUIC. I don't know what the OUIC is. I thought it was more
public, maybe.
The public. Yeah, public
maybe.
is what they're trying to say. Yeah.
Nobody's saying that the intelligence agencies aren't misleading the public. You guys don't understand. You're so blinded by this is such a big deal. It's like what we're saying is this has been known. This is not the first time we're hearing this. We know this. They're confirming what we already knew, kind of like with the revelations of JFK. It's great that they're confirming what people were called conspiracy theorists, and what, and Whitney made this point. She made this point. She was like, does Matt Taibbi still think the JFK conspiracy is one of the worst and blah, blah, blah? Because there's a lot of hypocrisy here. A lot of people have been called conspiracy theorists, have been maligned for saying these same things for years. And then you have someone like Elon Musk say it, and now it's sacred and it's the most important story in the entire world. It's like it's like, yeah, but okay, but why aren't they telling you everything?
Yeah.
Why aren't they releasing all of the materials?
Yeah.
What are they hiding? Why doesn't that bother you? And why are you putting aside who Elon Musk is and his ties to the security state? You can't just put that aside and pretend it doesn't exist. That's like putting aside years and years of murder by the Azov battalion on the Donbass and saying the war started, February of 2022. It's the same thing. You're completely putting aside everything that's been going on for years and just saying, well, these revelations are so big, but blah, blah, blah. I'm glad they're coming out. No, like neither of us, I think, are saying that we're not glad they're coming out, that more people are aware, but note that this is one gigantic manipulation to get people to be for or against a certain narrative. And you always have to question why you are only allowed to see certain things, why certain information is released at the time it is, why it's given to certain people. You can't just, like, especially like I said, information coming from the top. Like, it's very naive.
Can we also, Fab? Can we also acknowledge to where Elon came from and where the majority of his money came from? United States military subsidies. He's worked for the deep state and the military for quite some time. Starlink was used by the Ukrainian military from the get-go. Yep. And it was only to a little while he said some stuff about it. And if people trying to say that you sound like a mainstream media Democrat, that's just ridiculous. we're asking and we're still stating is that they're showing you only part of the picture. Why are they only showing you part of the picture? You have to ask yourself that. For me, it's quite obvious, and I've already made my decision up. However, we understood who Elon Musk was coming into this thing. If you ever watched our DARPA for Dummies years ago, you would have understood the connection to Elon
Yeah.
Musk and NASA and all these other groups. So it's awfully suspicious. And we could point out the fact that Ye's last tweet was Ari Emanuel, who's a Hollywood super lawyer. Ari Emanuel is the character that Jeremy Piven played on what's that stupid show?
Entourage.
Entourage. Okay, he's one of the most powerful people in Hollywood. His brother Ram is the one who said that we need to get rid of Cynthia McKinney because she's not a team player. That's who Elon Musk was hanging with, having a good time, and now he's in the booth. That's one clan. So now he's connected to the Obama, Clinton, right, cabal, and then he's hanging out with Jared Kushner in guitar. Guys, come on, this is like professional wrestling right in front of your faces. I don't know how you can't see this. And this move
because
alone, yeah.
No, you're right, and I just want to say, Pasta, they can't see it because the way it's been done is so intelligent to make it seem like, oh, look at all these journalists. I'm giving them this. I'm allowing this release of information. Look, I'm being different than the last guy. But Elon Musk had already planned on quitting Twitter. This is part of the plan. Twitter isn't run by Elon Musk. It's not. He's like a representative. Like this is just it's I think it's just so frustrating to not see people get, yes, the Pentagon is involved on Twitter. The Pentagon is involved in much more as well. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Good that the information now that people have been talking about for years is being okayed by the people with connections to the State Department. But don't you find that a little suspect? Why would they expose themselves? If Twitter is indeed working with the State Department, what impetus do they have to expose it? Like, what is driving them? Is it because Elon Musk is just a guy that has humanity on his radar? Well, the evidence does not point to that. Of his whole existence, his whole career doesn't point to that at all. So I'm not going to be naive enough to think that, okay, well, if it's not that, then why is this information being released now? And I think it's because people are getting really suspect. People have been really questioning so much, and they're trying to get ahead of it, and they've done this beautiful complete operation where they get you to cheer and believe that a benevolent billionaire with ties to the defense industry and the State Department and the security apparatus is going to just give you this information, and that it's just, you just need to, take it for what it is and see, this is great. These revelations are great. And this is going to change the way things are done. We're going to get more transparency. We'll see.
Yeah.
This
is all a charade. And somebody's saying you can't talk about the context. We have to talk about Musk. We've been talking about the context of this stuff for years, my dear. So I don't even know.
Yeah, and you know what? Whatever. I recommend listening there. I think Whitney put it up. She was going to do a podcast with James Corbett.
Yeah.
And to talk about this stuff, because she and to literally stating why you should not trust Elon Musk. And if anybody has done research or onto the connections between Musk and the defense industry and the security state, it's those two. Yeah, and it would be something to listen to.
Fam, we'll coup who we want to coup. Just get it through your head.
But what's the context of that?
Oh, no.
God. All right. So I think we've discussed most of this stuff. I don't know if you wanted to go through and see if, because I mean, he's put it out there. You all can read it. He basically talks about CENTCOM and the different, accounts that would state that they were aligned with the U.S. and then the other accounts that would say they weren't, and they would switch it. And then the U.S. Twitter said they were going to shut down those accounts, but they didn't shut them all. In fact, some are still there today. Again, I do think this set of files are the most damning in terms of what's been released. But at the same time, they're not addressing the very big elephant in the room as to what's happening now with the conflict in Ukraine and what's happening now with Iran, what's happening with Israel, Palestine.
And they're still doing it, by the way. They're still censoring at their own behalf. And I'm not talking about the people who listen. Our good friend Olivia Ronda was on Fox the other day talking about the work, and this is something that Eliza Blue has been highlighting, the way Twitter has been removing possible pedophiles and their links and chains, and that's great. But that's only one part of the equation over here. And those things are sometimes done because they give you an area in which you can do things in which you get brownie points, but you ignore the other. In other words, there's a list of what
That's
Elon
more
can
red meat
release.
as well.
Exactly. It is more red meat because, unfortunately, the team sports mentality, a lot of leftists have actually gone into this whole mental state of actually defending the pedophiles because they're on their teams because of Butt Trump. That's why this becomes red meat when it should be a nonpartisan issue. Fam, you got anything else with this stuff?
No, on this, I mean, you guys can read the article on the Intercept. It's we pretty much discussed it. I mean, it's just it's hard to discuss this, like, because this is stuff like that has been constantly talked about, like, I mean, throughout, like it's just
It's
not
also
a.
funny too to say that the no leftists have been censored and stuff like that. And that's the shit that just keeps making me laugh my ass off. These are all issue-based things that they keep bringing forth the
If
Twitter
you
files.
equate a leftist with like a liberal, then yeah, and even then, I don't buy that. I'm sure liberals have been censored.
Oh yeah. So this is fam. You want to read this statement? Look at this one. This is a good one right here.
Mama Alaska, this is just the middle ground of a massive psyop that keeps us in the minutia of left and right rather than looking at class warfare, the WEF, and that runs the world, mass psychosis. Yeah, I agree, 100%. It's totally a psyop, absolutely 100% a psyop. And protecting the kids is nonpartisan. Absolutely, protecting the kids is nonpartisan. But again, why they're doing this, the whole protecting the kids thing has been led by the right, and that's what they're doing too. And I mean, I do think that that's one of the other issues that gets like extremes, people like really jumping on both sides of to focus on certain aspects. Lots of hypocrisies in between a lot of things on that, but we don't have time to discuss that because I would take like another few hours. But yeah, it should be a nonpartisan issue. Actually protecting children should be a nonpartisan issue.
So fam,
I
I
think
got this
I
too. Let's see. I'm booting. Yeah, man.
Yeah. So somebody mentioned that earlier. I had it already set up. This is,
Yeah,
of
you did.
course, Ryan
I'm sorry about
Christian
that.
from the T-Lab. He was suspended
The last American.
again um, for a ban invasion. He said, the ban invasion Elon Musk just explained was unjust and we voted to overturn. I got the account back and then they ban it because I was using another account to circumvent the unjust ban. Makes sense. This happened to me when I was unfairly banned and I created another account and they said, "Oh, you were unfairly banned," but they still continue to ban the other account. This, like, it doesn't make any sense, and I've appealed it and they don't care. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I think Johnny Vedmore had a tweet too about how he's being like shadow banned, how his name doesn't show up just like mine. This is, I mean, people, it's like, fine. If you don't care, if you want to ignore it because you're not dealing with it or you don't see it, that's fine. I'm not going to ignore that. Not because it's just me, but because it's like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that you're telling me that we have more freedom of speech with Elon Musk and that everything is being more transparent, when that's not the reality that I'm facing, having a label of Russia state affiliated media. Literally nobody sees me. It's hard to find me. You can't, I mean, I have seen the comparisons, videos. I've like taken photographic stuff. I mean, I really need to do like a whole video on this because it's insane. And other state affiliated media say the same thing. I'm not the only one. Rachel's talked about it. I know Press TV people have talked about it. Are you looking for me? You can't. It doesn't even come up. We follow each other. We literally have a show together, and he can't even
But
find me.
your parody, Fiorella is a
My
smell.
parody. Yeah, it's insane. I mean, it's ridiculous, and he's not the only one. A lot of people have shown me the same exact thing. It's
But
insane.
go Elon! Oh,
Yeah.
shut the hell up! You guys are
Yeah.
You're weak.
Yeah,
You're
it's
weak.
being gullible and naive at this point.
All right. Well, that's it. Come on, DARPA Harper, make my ideal weather state happen, says DC.
Yeah,
We love
DARPA
you,
boy
DC.
is gonna give you everything for
Yeah,
sure.
he is. You got
Yeah.
it, guys, please. So that's it, guys. I did put up something, fam, really quickly. Let me put it up there. This was a super ray. We already said thank you to Aram. Salute. This was from Copeland Morris. He also said, I appreciate the good work you do over
Thank
on
you.
our Rockfin. Thank you very much, by the way. Guys, if you want to become a premium member, help out the Combo Couch. We got 36 people there. They're all premium members. If you are a premium member and somebody said, nice hat, Pasta, I should have worn my captain's hat, fam. I'm sick and tired of you bullying me out of my captain's hat.
I don't have a bias. I'm not biased. I'm not the one that's biased. The people believing this is completely just transparent information and that Elon has no alternative motive and that he is pushing free speech are the ones that are biased. They're
Who's saying
biased
this?
whether you're naive or whether you want to believe it's better than it is, and we'll see. We'll see.
Why would we be biased against friggin' Elon Musk? For what reason?
I don't have to be biased. The information, the receipts show who Elon Musk is. I'm not the one with ties to the security state. I'm not the one with ties to the military industrial complex or the defense industry. The receipts are all there. The connections are all there. If you want to pretend that doesn't exist and that this information is just straight up.
Yeah. Fam. Fam, I got to bring somebody in. Come in here. Why are you sneaking in here? Come over here. Look who it is.
Hey, fam.
Oh, hi. Hi.
Say hi to fam.
How are you?
Hi to fam. I'm going to play paddleball.
Pickleball.
Okay. Pickleball.
That's right, pickleball. What the hell's the
Yeah.
difference?
Yeah, so
you guys have to go.
How are you enjoying Moscow?
It's cold. But it's beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well,
It's freezing.
give me a kiss.
Yes.
Listen, you go play pickleball. Let them know I will catch up in a half hour. I will be there.
Half hour?
Yeah. At least I'll just come and meet everybody today and say hi and shake hands and do that thing. Are they going to have an extra racket for me? I love you, Mom. It goes, Ma, you didn't say goodbye to my audience. You got to say goodbye when you got to go say goodbye when you come on. You can't just leave like that. Come on. Look what they're saying. Pasta's mom is so Pasta's mom is so adorable.
I'm so sorry. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all of it. May it cover you all, my children. God bless. Be safe and stay happy.
Mom.
Signing off.
You said something great about Fam the other day. You said she was doing an amazing job when I sent you some clips.
I think she's a courageous young girl to go over into that country at this particular time. Takes courage.
Yeah.
Takes courage, fam.
And she's not talking about the fact that it's unsafe. She's talking about the fact the way you're getting smeared for doing so. She was mentioning that she's like, you know, we have a saying over here. She's got a lot of guts.
She's courageous.
Oh, thank you.
Bye, Mama.
Take care.
Have fun.
Great, honey. You lost a few pounds.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, she said because she ain't got me to cook for her anymore, Ma. That's why. Woo! Give me a hoo-ha. Mom, they love you. Uncle Warren says hi too. Pasta and pickleball. They all love you, Mom. They love you.
Oh, man.
She boosts ratings, Mama, so that's good. You know what I'm saying? Your mom probably is not a fan of pickleball because your mom and your dad still are playing hardcore competitive tennis at this time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. Guys, we have 54 people watching, including Vicky Lynn and DC Fairbanks over there. Fun facts. My boy Fred Edwards over there. We love you, dude. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Let's get into the last topic, fam, because it is something we need to talk about. When there's a cokehead getting an obscene amount of money, the combo couch will be there. the combo couch will be to expose his ass.
To expose it, not to partake. So wait, is this?
Yeah.
Yes, this is it. Okay, so so Zelensky's currently in DC, and Biden told Zelensky that Ukrainians inspire the world, and so they're beginning their little meeting. If you just scroll down, so we can update the The fam's on this. Look how cute. The guy shows up with the same exact green shirt he's been wearing the entire time. Like, it's just hilarious. And by the way, which Biden is that? You know, people posted a picture the other day of Biden, and people are like, oh, that's not Biden. Guys, it's called Botox. They, like, all these politicians get it injected into their veins. And I don't know how it works. I've
Fam,
never done it.
I mean, like,
But
look,
they just,
listen,
they have
no,
like all this shit
no,
on them.
fam. Okay, fam, listen, I get it that you don't want to get too tinfoil hat. I get it that you didn't want to admit that the queen was a
No.
hologram, but there are multiple Joe Bidens, and I'm sticking by it. Multiple.
All right, we can discuss that at another time, but I don't know which Biden it was. Botox Biden, fake Biden, number 3, whatever. But he looks way better than he was looking, which
Should we
is
play the
really
video
sus.
or no?
Yeah. Well, let's see. CNN gonna be like,
Jed, what exactly do you
oh
know?
no,
A nuclear weapon on the move.
this is
important.
Are we at war?
This is important. This is Hollywood.
Oh my, this is. Do you guys see the propaganda? Oh God, I hate this Jack Ryan stuff.
Well, Mr. President, it's good to have you back. I'm delighted you're able to make the trip to be here and
look at the chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
To be by your side in united defense against what is a brutal war being waged by Putin. 300 days. It's hard to believe. 300 days.
So funny.
Going through this, and Putin has waged a brutal assault on the Ukraine's right to exist as a nation and the attack on innocent Ukrainian people for no reason other than intimidate. And he's escalated his assault on civilians after hitting schools, orphanages, hospitals,
guys, I cannot.
landmarks. And he's trying to use winter as a weapon. And but the Ukrainian people continue to inspire the world. I mean that sincerely. Not just inspire us, but inspire the world with their courage and how they have chose the resilience and resolve for their future. And the American people have stood proudly with them, Democrats and Republicans, together with our allies in Europe and Japan and other places, to make sure you have the financial, humanitarian, and security assistance that is needed. We're going to talk about that today. And we're going to continue to strengthen Ukraine's ability to defend itself, particularly air defense. And that's why we're going to be providing Ukraine with Patriot missile battery and training your forces to be able to accurately use it. Together with our partners, we're also going to continue to impose costs on the Kremlin, and we'll support Ukraine pursuing a just peace. President.
Okay, I don't even know where to begin with that. So first of all, I want to address the Patriot missile situations. Supposedly, there's supposed to be this highly renowned thing. I was just on Press TV with Ray McGovern. We did a little quick 20-something minute panel, and the Patriot missile was mentioned, but it's more of like the rhetoric, right? The Patriot missile, we're going to give you these missiles. Zelensky's about to get $2 billion in addition to obviously everything else. He's going to be asking for more. They're asking what is going to be the next phase, right? What is this? We're entering the next phase of the conflict where Russia has said, hey, we want diplomacy, we want this, but the United States refuses. He's basically saying we're going to continue fighting this. They're also using the holidays, fam. I don't know if you noticed the holidays to kind of put Zelensky out there and be like, Ukrainian people inspire the world. This is the blah, blah, blah. So it's Christmas. Look, the Ukrainian people, they're using the holiday spirit BS to get this as well. But they understand, the US understands this is like, they've started admitting like the Ukrainian victory is unlikely privately, but publicly you have Joe Biden saying, Putin has unleashed his wrath for no reason other than, just no reason, completely ignoring reality. The fact that he gets to say this completely and lie when everybody knows this is, this goes back to 2014, the US intervention in Maidan. It goes back to NATO expansion, Minsk Accords, all of this. None of that is discussed, right? but it's looking like Zelensky's going to get $2 billion right away. And the missile systems are supposed to be this special missile that's going to pretty much have a longer range of systems. And it's not that great. It's supposed to have increased accuracy, but yeah, it's supposed apparently it's supposed to have a combined surveillance, tracking, and engagement functions in one unit, and it's supposed to stand out among all of that. So again, Ukraine has asked for this apparently, so this is what
fam,
they're getting.
we saw that in the HIMARS, I think it was. I'm not sure 100% correctly, but they put governors. If you don't know what a governor is, on school buses, it was part law in certain states that you had to have a governor on your bus, meaning it only go up to a certain speed. Well, they put missiles with their HIMARS that only will allow them to travel I believe under 5 miles, so that they couldn't, from the front lines of the war, fire them into Russia because they didn't trust the Ukrainians to do so. This was discovered too as well by the Ukrainians. Eventually, they started bitching about it. Now they're supposed to send over new missile defenses, fam, and these can get really, really, really hairy. You can see in the new $1.8 billion package Biden unveiled includes Patriot to surface air missile system, which has been a long-standing request of the Ukrainians to fend off Russian air attacks. And this is getting crazy because this is going to get really, really bad. I don't know what Russia's going to do if we start giving them weapons like this, in which they can fire into the heartland of Russia and some Russians get killed. It might get really serious really quick.
Well, yeah, and Russia has already been saying that there's already U.S. troops in the Russian Federation. So
there are.
But I think
there are.
Yeah, and there are. And what I think is going to happen,
we have video of NATO troops all over the place. Sorry, fam. Go ahead.
Yeah, but actual U.S. troops, and so there's been attacks on actual Russian soil with these weapons, and the problem with these Patriot missiles is they're still not covering. They're framing them as, oh, they have great range and great this and that, but it's still only going to cover a small area. It doesn't. You have to put the missile directly on the target you want. And if your target moves, or if your area changes, your target area changes, it doesn't cover much more than that. It's actually not a game changer, and they admit it in the CNN article. They talk about how it's not. The military talks about how it's not a game changer. So this is more of like rhetoric to ramp up. Oh, it's a Patriot missile. It's oh, this is what Zelensky's been wanting. Look, he's getting this. They're getting everything they want. The reality is, though, I wanted to really point out billions recently, right? $858 billion in a defense budget was approved, more than what Biden asked for. And by the way, this defense budget is supposed to be for the United States defending itself. But really, guys, we know this is an offense budget, right? This is like a war budget. This is like the United States is going into offensively target this proxy war with Russia is essentially, and Ukraine is just, the excuse. But there it is. It's a record $858 billion Defense Act that happened with Biden. It already passed and everything. So this is, of course, as right now, what is it, fam? How many days till Christmas? 3 days till Christmas?
3 days till Christmas.
And people are not going out. People aren't going out as much, right? They're not shopping as much. Retail sales are down, I think, at least 7%. You have high inflation. You have a housing crisis. You have all these things happening in the United States. And then, of course, Zelensky comes in. He's the one that gets these billions of dollars. They even went as far, fam, because things are so bad, as extending the student loan repayment. So it was supposed to start, and they're extending it because they're saying, oh, we understand it's hard, and that we had approved the 10,000 debt forgiveness, but the judges said no. So we're going to continue fighting. So we're just going to extend your student loan repayment for another month or so. So they're extending that because things are that bad. So again, I said, why, while U.S. Americans are on a naughty list to get nothing but coal, Ukraine's Vladimir Zelensky is set to travel to D.C. to meet Congress this week, and where he's expected to ask them for more funding. Merry Christmas, USA, more money for Azov, the spirit of giving, because they're using this holiday season to promote this whole thing. And they know it's going to work with the usual shit libs, right? Oh, we need to help Ukrainians. They need help. Poor Ukrainians, blah, 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 blah. The money isn't going to Ukrainians, guys. The money is going to the defense industry. The money is going to Zelensky's houses and his wife's Vogue shoots. That's where the money's going. And of course, to black market weapons exchange.
Fam said,
Yes.
caption this.
Yeah, so caption that, guys. So if you don't get it, this is the picture of when the U.S. Congress and every liberal media outlet was calling this the coup, right? Oh, it's an insurrection. It's a coup. Well, they were walking out with a bunch of stuff from Congress and a bunch of artifacts and stuff. This is Zelensky carrying out all this money out of Congress. Like, it's just hilarious because it's okay. It's just ridiculous. Somebody farts on Nancy Pelosi's chair, but Zelensky gets billions of dollars and they cheer for it. I mean, it's just a juxtaposition, really. And I know probably the right had a shit ton of fun with these memes because what happened, of course, with January 6th was just a joke. And this one was my favorite, I think.
From the
This one's,
Libertarian Party, fam. Give the Libertarian... Fam, you got libertarian roots inside you. I say this all the time.
Fam, they did a great meme. And there's so many layers to this meme, guys, because you have Creepy Joe, right? Playing Santa Claus, smelling Zelensky's hair, putting him on his lap. You know, he's talked about having kids come on his lap and stuff, reading, like, and of course giving him his presents. And it just hits every aspect of this whole thing, like in so many ways. I love it. I just think it's such a great meme, especially in for the holiday season, fam.
Yeah, fam, I know it. You got libertarian bones in your body. We say this all the time, fam. I think you're gonna have to admit
Totally.
it. You know, third party. You could be a leftist libertarian with me, fam. There's nothing wrong with that.
Fam, I'm not a libertarian.
We can help. We can do this, even though they're pissing you
I'll
off.
talk to libertarians. I'll work with libertarians, but I'm not a libertarian.
Fam, you need to point out the fact that the libertarians are on top of this shit like this, as if it wasn't
They
enough.
are. Absolutely.
If it wasn't enough, our good friends over at antiwar.com. By the way, I just sent a message out to Kyle Anzalone, told that sexy bastard to get back on our shows. I'd like to get Dave DeCamp on, Scott Horton, the whole 9 yards. This is from Dave DeCamp. Congress includes $45 billion in new Ukrainian aid to a $1.7 trillion funding bill. So now they're giving the $2 billion right away, fam, but tucked away, and that stocking for Zelensky is $45 billion. $7 billion more than the $37.7 billion Ukraine aid that the White House asked Congress to authorize before the next congressional session begins in January. So if you add it all up, fam, the $45 billion includes $9 billion for Ukrainian Security Assistance Initiative, which allows the U.S. to purchase arms for Kiev and funds other than the types of support, including training, intelligence, and the whole 9 yards, and get the CIA in there even more. I mean, contracts being greased all over the place. And this is from the Omnibus bill. Omnibus bill. You know what I'm saying? So this is all just going crazy, fam. It's more and more money to our friends, to Voldemort, green screen, Zelensky, fam. Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing is that was pointed out in the discussion with Ray McGovern. I think he pointed this out. They're trying to do what they can to get as much before the Republicans come in, because they're saying, oh, the Republicans aren't going to go as quickly. They're not going to fund Ukraine as quickly. But I venture to say that the majority of the Republicans in Congress are going to do the same. I don't think this is going to stop with the change of Congress.
I think it's more about the Democratic Party is going to give more of the money to aid the Ukrainians, where the Republicans will just go in and give money to anti-China measures. It's going to be spent. They all approved this bill. It's just about where the money is spent, right? One's anti-China, one's more anti-Russia. And you even said this before. The best way to describe this is China has become the Republicans' Russia. And even still, fam, if it's not enough that all these other countries, we got France, we got England, we got all these people kicking in all this money. The World Bank approves an additional $610 million for financing to the Ukraine. That was already also listed a link to Reuters in the U.S. News. So you can go take a look at that as well. That was also on antiwar.com. If you haven't subscribed to that channel, or if you don't have it on your bookmarks, go do it. It is a great site, great people. Like I said, I think the libertarians sometimes, Scott Horton, a little bit too reserved sometimes, and even saying that he wasn't even crazy about, he thought that what Putin did was wrong. So, I mean, but it's good to have that debate or that problem, fan. You know what I'm saying? When people's too reserved as opposed to what we got now. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. And I think, it's really sad that we don't really have anybody on the left that's in Congress, because they don't exist. You got AOC and the squat and those morons and those, what is it, like scabs, liberals. And everybody else, I mean, Bernie Sanders went back on the Yemen War Powers Act. So, I mean, it's just, it's one thing after another. And again, like this is something the American people should be out protesting. It's literally the holiday season. People are sleeping in the streets, and you're giving how much to Ukraine? And for what? And you're going to continue. And by the way, this is another thing that was discussed, is this is entering a new phase of the conflict. Russia isn't going to stop if they don't get security in terms of ending the expansion of NATO. Again, this is an existential fight for Russia. If Russia doesn't continue this fight, they will cease to exist. That's how they're perceiving it. I mean, we're talking about, they're banning Russian language from being taught, Russian churches, like anything Russian. If it wasn't Zelensky, if it was some other guy doing that and his name was Hitler, people would be up in arms. But because it's Zelensky and he happens to be Jewish, and this is happening under the guise of that, so it's totally okay. And it just goes to show you, and I see this a lot, because it's like, I could go to Finland tomorrow and fly out of there and from Russia, like go take a bus from Russia to Finland, Helsinki, and then go from Finland to the United States. It's way cheaper. And I can come back that same way. A Russian can't do that. They're not allowed physically into the country. It's insane. They're not allowed into these countries. Like, what? How is that allowed? How is that even a thing that we're banning people? So it's ridiculous. And this is going to continue. And I don't think Russia's going to stop unless it can get an assurance. But I think Russia is going to demand certain territories. I don't think they want to take all of Ukraine.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to see pushback from Russia again at what's going on in Ukraine, because Ukraine continues to shell the Donbass. Yeah. So now Russia's going to respond again. You're going to see another strong response, I think, in the next couple months. And we'll see what happens in the spring.
So fam, that's going to be it for today. I have pickleball. I just want to show
I thought you had a...
Well, Goose is going to do it. Yeah, we do. But we're about 45 minutes late. So we're going to do it again to get later on. When he comes on, he had another meeting. We just went way far behind. That is my bad for scheduling it too early. But I'm going to do that later on tonight. Or I'm going to either post it later on tonight or do it live later on tonight. I'm going to probably do it live later on tonight. Is that Leo? That is Leo. That is the combo couch dog. Look at him. Lucky Burrito's little cat, little doggy. All wrapped up for us. Leo.
So, guys, I'm going to do a fee rant tomorrow. Hopefully. Oz. I don't know if Oz is watching. It's not going to be long. But I do have to talk about some things. And then I'm working on my life in Russia video. So it's taking some time, but I'm working on that. And then I will be back on the news desk on Friday, Christmas Eve.
Aww. Saturday is Christmas Eve, fam.
Well, it's Saturday technically for me. It's Friday for you guys.
That's right. So Saturday for us, Christmas Eve. Fam will be in Moscow on the news desk. doing some reporting. That's it. Later on, I'll put up the video with Raymond Boguski. We're going to talk about the international health regulations, what's going on there. That will be a Rockfin Rumble only. And a Friday, fam, we have stuff going on. We won't have a show Friday. You're going to do the fee rant tomorrow, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Friday
no
will
show
be off.
Friday.
We'll be back
tomorrow.
Monday.
Yes, tomorrow fee rant at noon.
Fee rant. That's it. So that's it for today, guys. Remember, if you go to our Rockfin, you want to be a subscriber, help us on out. You can always do that. Thank you to the Super Rate contributions. They do mean a lot to us. Thank you to all our Patreons who throw a few bucks in there. We had over 65 people today on Rumble. We'd like to get that number up to 100. That's great. We want to get our subscribers up. Anything you can do to help out. We also have a PayPal. A lot of love was always given there. We appreciate that. And you can always go to theconvocouch.com to go find out all the news there. The site is back up. We are going to be working on the t-shirt thing in our shop to get that back in order to see what's going on over there. So, yeah, we'll be hanging on out. Thank you so much for everybody who made it possible. Fam, are you going to go on the Festivus for the rest of us show, or are you going to be working that day?
Festivus is when?
That's Warren's show.
Yeah, but is that tomorrow?
I think it's Saturday. Someone put the link up there. It's Friday or Saturday. It's one of those 2 days. But anyways, that's it, guys. We love you. Fam, I am Pasta Jardula.
And I'm Fiorella. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Christmas, Kwanzaa, all that good stuff.
Fam.
If you're atheist, I'm, whatever.
Why are you always missing the Kwanzaa? We're out, guys. Pasta on the ones and twos. We'll see you soon. Get on over to Rumble. Watch Fee Friday night, Saturday night on the news desk, RT. And, of course, you got AM Wake Up hanging on out Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. That's it. We'll see you guys. God bless. We love you.
Happy solstice. Come out. Fam, go play pickleball.